Hey folks, it's Jumping Quills, and welcome back to another edition of the Weekly Ramble. Now today we have a kind of I want to say more serious topic, because I don't think I can talk about this while being super like energetic. I'm sure, as you've seen by the title of it, in case you haven't, it's Indifference. Partially how kind of my experience with it and how I view indifference. I like to think I'm an indifferent person. Partially for the fact I guess at least I act indifferent. I definitely have my own set of morals and beliefs, and a lot of the things that I find kind of drive me is, it's like I don't see the point into coming into conflict just because someone has a different belief than you. And so I'm just indifferent on a lot of things, and it's like I like to think that when I act or talk a certain way, I'm just doing it, put on a show a little bit. The truth is, like, the truth is, I'm just being indifferent about it. It's like I don't really care if you think something is cool. If I don't think it's cool, sure, I might not like it, but it's like, yeah, you like it. All right, that's awesome. I don't really care that you like it. It's like if people try to shove that onto me, it's like push their beliefs onto me. It's like, one, that's annoying. And two, I'm not gonna tell them that it's annoying. I'm not gonna tell them I'm going to do it. I'm gonna be neutral. I'm gonna be indifferent. That's kind of the way I view it. And that's just how it is for a lot of things. I hate being confrontational with people. Not because I'm weak or I can't defend myself if I decide for it to somehow go bad, but because I just don't see the point. I like to have constructive conversation, and dialogue over anything else. And it's just weird. I feel like the word indifferent, I'm probably not even using it in the right context in this manner of speech. I think when people think indifferent, it's like, oh, yeah, I just don't care about anything. It's like, sure, you do you. I think the thing of indifferent is like, you do you. I feel like that's a pretty good way to put it. It's like, you don't really care what someone does, someone who is truly indifferent, like on everything, like to a complete, like it is part of their character, and like they are emotionless. They just do not care. They don't care if you're insulting them. They don't care if you're if you're hitting them. Like someone who's truly indifferent, who just doesn't have the kind of reactions, or I guess the same mentality that most people do, just will not care about you, even if you're not doing anything bad. If you're suffering, if you have a bad day, they just won't come up to you and do that. And I'm not trying to paint myself as someone who doesn't who would not care about people. I will care about people. I will feel bad for people. I guess I'm more indifferent in the fact when it comes to things, especially political things, and when people are trying to get under my skin or annoy me or attack me personally, I do not care. Because your words are your words. It's like, you can call me whatever you want. You can say whatever I want, or say whatever you want about me, about something you believe in. I do not care. It is your belief. I will, if it's not a personal attack, I will respectfully decline. That's not my belief. It's like, you are entitled to your own thing. You do you. Because, you are your own person. I can't tell you how to act. I can only say, and maybe you should, consider what you say. But, I don't like to consider myself a snowflake. It's weird. So I remember when I was younger, I was really emotional. It's like I would cry. I don't want to go too much of my. There's some more serious talks to have about my younger self. But I remember I was really what you would call soft as a person. Nowadays, you might say there's nothing wrong with that, and sure, there is nothing wrong with that. Guys are allowed to be emotional. Everyone is allowed to be emotional in my eyes. But like I would cry over like minor things. Like I'd cry because someone yelled at me. It's like I don't know exactly what was happening to me then. I don't know. I remember being super stressed as a kid, especially in middle school. But this was kind of before that. Even before middle school, I was still like, I was like super. I could not handle being yelled at. And I remember my old man told me, "You got to toughen up." And it's like, not toughen up physically, but toughen up mentally. Don't let things get to you as much. And as I kind of, I guess the way I progressed into the way I am now, this a somewhat indifferent person. Middle school, there was so much stress on me. I remember 2008, the whole housing crisis. Financially, we weren't doing too well off. Super stressful. My brother was going in college. We were worrying about how, we were going to pay for him. I was like in school. I had a group of friends who would keep they'd pick on me. Obviously they weren't trying to be mad at me. Like they weren't trying to like actually bully me or anything, but I never really told them to stop. And it kind of kept building on me and building on me. And, I started getting headaches from stress. Migraines were happening because of stress. And it was a super rough time in my life. Pretty much like the last 2 years of my middle school experience, even the first year of high school, I just kept, like, it was eating at me. Like, I was in such a bad place then. Then kind of sophomore year of high school comes around, right? I moved to a whole different, like, I was going to a school in a different district for high school, so I know no one there. My freshman year, I was like, I just knew no one. I eventually found my friends, sophomore year. I had them established. I was doing a lot better. And I kind of found myself coming out of that, stressful period of my childhood, I definitely was mentally tougher, I like to say. I just like, and I guess the way you'd put it, it wasn't like nothing fazed me, right? I still like to think of myself as a statue. I'm made out of stone. Stone is not invincible. Weather winds it down. Water winds it down. Eventually people's words, or like, I guess a tiny, like a very small pickaxe that chip away time and time again. If I don't do anything to restore, my statue, myself, it's like eventually I will crumble. And I have had, days, where it's like, holy crap, if this keeps on, I'm going to be back in that one spot. But I'm definitely able to go on a lot longer without showing distress. And I've also learned how to handle stress a lot better, which is a good part, which I think toughening up mentally is not so much being like, oh, you are a mental bastion. Your mind cannot be penetrated by the darkness around you. Like, I think it's more, you've learned how to handle the things you did not used to know. And that's to me a sign of, obviously, you're growing as a person. And I feel like something needs to do. Everyone has a different way of doing that. My way was indifference. I like to believe I like to think I'm a humble guy. When people compliment me, it's not like, oh, I let it get to me. I'm not like this great person. I never will be. I'm just a normal dude doing what, doing what I think is best. And hopefully that's what I think most people are. And obviously there are some people out there who think they're, God's gift, and that they're always right. They can never be wrong. I will learn. The one thing about my indifference is, if I am wrong, if I am proven wrong about something, I will apologize for it, especially if I argued it. If I upset people, I'm not going to feel like, oh, I'm still right. I'm like, I'll feel like, oh shit, well, maybe I shouldn't have said that in that way, or maybe I should have phrased it a different way, or maybe I shouldn't even said it at all. I feel guilt. I feel emotion. I'm not some robot. I'm not entirely indifferent. It's just like, I've learned to kind of stop caring about certain things. When it came to politics, I hate talking about politics. I say that now. I said that in the past. I'll say it now, and I'll say it in the future. I hate politics, especially within America. I just do. To me, it's nothing but polarizing. And it's just, you have one side, you have the other. And it's just so bad. I love to have philosophical questions. And as much as I don't want to say this, being indifferent in college is both a blessing and a curse. Because it's like, if you like being indifferent, it's like you're not going to let, like, if people don't agree with your opinion, it's not going to really fuck with you that much. But in college, even the college I go to, there is definitely some more progressive ideals in the classrooms. Not so much being taught by the teachers, but just noticeable amongst the students. I have not had maybe it's because I haven't taken the classes. I took a philosophy class which had a talk about abortion, which was that had some very interesting opinions in. And I love hearing people's opinions. I like to think what they think. I like to hear what they think. But it's when people start yelling at each other, being like super confrontational. It turns away from being constructive and helpful dialogue to maybe expand people's horizon, knowledge about matter, to being like, all we're doing is reinforcing the same things that these people were believing. They're not growing as people. They're solidifying themselves as rock that will never move. And I hate it. I've always I shouldn't say hate it. I dislike it. Hate is a very strong word that I do not use very often, or at least in a sincere way. And it's like just indifference. Looking at things from a lens of like kind of gray. Looking at things from like, I think you have black and white. Stay in the gray area. That's where you want to be. Because then you get to see what both sides are like. You get to think of things rationally. You get to weigh the pros and cons of doing things. And you get to me, I think that leads to a way of being there's, I guess, indifference in a healthy way. You're indifferent because you understand it. Or you just, you know that it won't make a difference. If you do something, it's not going to matter because it's not going to change. You learn how to handle people better. You learn when to say something, when not to say something, when to act, when not to act. And again, I don't mean indifference like a robot. It's like if something happens around you, you're not going to stare at that person like, I mean, yeah, what happened to you? If that is like, if you are like that, I genuinely hope, first of all, you're okay. That like, you're not going through any kind of mental stress. That isn't some sort of coping mechanism. I think even to this day, the indifference that I do show to some things is still a coping mechanism in some way. To me, it obviously helps it helps me maintain my mental sanity. But yeah, I like to think people should always have a healthy amount of indifference. Because to me, at least to me, this is my opinion, it's my belief, it might not be correct, people don't have to share it, but to me, it makes people be more constructive, it makes people be more willing to talk about things and not get offended over it. Because especially in nowadays, if you have the wrong opinion, if you believe something, there are going to be people who out there who want to destroy your livelihood who want to destroy destroy you as a person just because you say something that they don't like. Even if what you said isn't remotely hurtful to anyone, if it's something you do not like, or if you have said in the past and you have grown from that, you get destroyed. And that's just, or people try to destroy you for it. And that's just the sad truth of how things are nowadays. And I hate that things are like this, especially amongst social media. It's just weird to me. It is. I'm sorry this is more serious and depressing of a talk, folks. But it's something I definitely want to talk about because, again, it's an important thing to me. I promise next week will be a lot more joyful and a lot more energetic and something a little bit more fun to talk about. But yeah, I want to know I want to know your experience with indifference, whether it's within yourself or if you've noticed it in other people. I want to know what you folks think about it. If you think if my opinions here are flawed in any way, I want to see what you folks think about this. I do this stuff so I can see if I need to, how can I reflect on myself or on others around me and grow as a person, and that's, I think, the biggest thing we can do as humans. But yeah, with that being said, that's all I wanted to have for this video. If you liked what you heard and you want to hear more in the future, you know what to do. This has been Joe McQuills, and I'll see you folks in the next one.